Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paola and this is a new video for Video Everyday April. Today we're back to doing the eras analysis, and so today is all about the 2024 year, which was quite the interesting year. I like to call this my healing era. So this video is going to be a different kind of retrospective because I'm trying to fix what I did wrong in the 12 days of Bookmas. Basically what I did there, I did 4 separate videos and it was seasonal wrap-ups. And that would have been fine if I had included like statistics or some projects that I took on. But instead, I just listed the books, and I don't think I even gave the context. They were kind of impersonal, and I also didn't consider the books that I had read in the second half of December, I'm pretty sure. And so it was all over the place. So this is me trying to fix that. In 2024, I had a series of videos which I wrote about on Patreon, and later I posted on my blog as part of the 2024 Wrapped. So if you're interested in like the synopsis for all of these books, I will leave a link in the description below to that 2024 Wrapped series. Here I'm just going to show you a picture of all the books that I read, a little bit about the projects, and then I'm going to tell you about my top 5 and some honorable mentions. Hello, Editing Paola here. So you'll see my face like this every few minutes in this video because I realized in the editing process that I was doing the quarterly roundups, like the stats for genre, ownership, and format. I feel like I was truly trying to replace those videos from 2024, but that's no longer interesting to edit, and in turn, I don't think that's really interesting to watch. So instead, what I'm gonna do is tell you the amount of books that I read in that quarter, and then show you a little bit of the projects that those books belong in. So in the first quarter of 2024, I read a total of 17 books, and I wrote about them in 2 different blog posts. We have the Lost in the Pages one, which is where I was kind of lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to read, if I wanted to theme it or not, and so I was just kind of reading whatever. And then I had another wrapped post called 8 Books on Stream, and it's where I talk about all the books that I read that made it onto the screen. But it's important to remember that only 6 books from that post are in this quarter because I read Rune and Rising and the Six of Crows duology later on in the year. So out of all of those books that I read, I got 5 favorites, starting at number 5 with Till the Last Beat of My Heart by Luangi Beaumontes. This is an Afro-Latinx YA Achillean romance. It is contemporary fantasy, and it's about necromancy and family secrets. At number 4, I have Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is a hard-hitting YA contemporary story about 2 girls who find out they are sisters after the tragic and very sudden death of their father in a plane accident. What I love the most about this book is the way that it tackles complex family dynamics, as well as what women do for their families and what they sacrifice for them and the cost that they bear in consequence of that. At number 3, I have Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Hing Wen. This is about a messy main character. Her name is Ever, and she goes to Taipei for a summer program where she's meant to be learning about her roots and her heritage. And in that journey, she also goes through a bit of a love triangle. There's complex female friendships. And I think what I love the most about this book is that it didn't shy away from like the ugly side of what it's like to just be under that kind of pressure while also still being very much a teenager, not knowing where you want your life to go, struggling to tell your parents about what you actually want in life and stuff like that. I thought it was very grounded, and again, I really love all the mess that the situation created. I really miss messy protagonist and messy books. At number 2, I have The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This is a hard-hitting historical fiction novel. It's written in epistolary format, so they're letters that the main character writes to God to sort of make sense of everything that she's living through. I love that it's sapphic. It is way better than the musical. This book is definitely a classic for a reason, so check it out. And at number 1, I have another classic. It's called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume. This is a really wholesome and timeless coming-of-age story about Margaret, who has been living in New York for all her life, and then all of a sudden she's uprooted to live in New Jersey. And so it's about the growing pains of being a tween, starting to like boys, getting your period. Like, it packs so much, and it's quite the short book. I also really loved the movie adaptation of it, so definitely check those out if you haven't already. As for honorable mentions, I have 4. Tell Me How You Really Feel by Amina Maisafi is one of them. This is a really sweet YA sapphic love story between a cheerleader and an aspiring filmmaker. I also have here Haven by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This is a romantic suspense story. It is part of a series called Beards and Bondage, and it is the heaviest one in terms of the BDSM aspect compared to the other 2 books. The subtweet by Vivek Shreya is about complex female relationships, female friendships, and it's also about the music industry, the cost of representation, and what it really means to be visible as a South Asian woman. Last but certainly not least, I want to give a big shout out. And last but certainly not least, I want to give a big shout out to Girls on the Verge by Sharon Biggs Waller. This is a YA road trip story about a girl who is pregnant and no longer wants to be, and so she goes on a road trip to get that procedure. I really love it that this book is about complex female friendships. I also love that all 3 of the girls have like a distinct point of view. This book is only told in the protagonist's point of view, but I really love the way that the other 2 friends are crafted. They all come from different backgrounds and see the world a lot differently from one another. It was a really rewarding experience. This was part of my rereading project, and I was so happy that I got to reread it in 2024. In the second quarter of 2024, I read a total of 25 books, and these books are talked about in 3 different wrapped posts. Number 1 being Finding a Reading Path, and this is when I challenged myself to read 8 physical books before April 20-something, because an audiobook app that I was experimenting with, the deal that I had with that audiobook app was expiring soon, and so I just wanted to push myself and see how many physical books I could read with the help of the audiobook format found in this app. The app is Storytel. I will leave a link in the description below. I am not sponsored by them, but it's an incredible app, and they just added some Bloomsbury YA titles, which I am so happy about. I have so many Bloomsbury YA titles that I need to read that I just know I'll breeze through with the audiobooks. And in the last couple of months, I found it a lot more rewarding to experience them via audiobook. The second category of books are located in a blog post called 13 Books in 33 Days. And this is when I decided to extend my stay over at Storytel. And so I just wanted to read as many books as possible before canceling my subscription for good. Obviously, I have resumed my subscription since then, but at the time it felt very final, and so I just wanted to give it my all. And the last couple of books featured here are part of a blog post called Summer Reading Had Me a Blast, and it's a really big blog post because I discuss all my summer reading, which included Tome Topple, the audiobook challenge that Libro FM hosted in honor of the Paris Olympics, and Summer Win 2024. And so not all of these books belong in this quarter, so I will talk a little bit about that more in the next section. At number 5, I have Leap by Simina Popescu. This is a contemporary graphic novel set at a conservative performing art school in Romania, and it's about passion, dance, friendships, and what it means to love something, but it no longer bringing you joy. Number 4, I have A Princess in Theory by Alisa Cole. This is an incredible adult romance. It is contemporary, and it's about Naledi, who works in a lab, and she keeps getting what she thinks are spam emails from a prince in a country called Tesolo, and the emails are saying that she is the prince's betrothed, and so she keeps ignoring them because obviously she doesn't think they're real. And so the prince goes to the workplace of Naledi and pretends to be somebody else so that they can get to know each other properly. And I think my favorite 2 things about this book were the steamy scenes as well as the political intrigue. At number 2, I have Pumpkin by Julie Murphy. This is a queer YA story all about prom. There's a really sweet Achillean romance in there too. I am overdue for a reread so that I can annotate my copy. At number 2, I have Lulu and Milagros Search for Clarity by Angela Vélez. This is a contemporary YA road trip story about 2 sisters. They're both going on a college road trip, and so it's about their relationship to each other as much as it is about what they want to do in life and how they approach that path. I also love that this is also about family secrets. And at number 1, I have This is Me Trying by Raquel Marie. This is a hard-hitting YA contemporary story told in dual POV, and it follows Beatriz and Santiago, who are estranged best friends who have not seen each other in several years since the funeral of their mutual best friend who they were both in love with. This features messy queer characters, mental illness, and both healthy and unhealthy coping mechanisms. I love the ensemble cast in here just as much as I love the two main characters. I have an interview with Raquel Marie all about it, so I will leave a link in the description below so that you can check it out if you haven't already. As for some honorable mentions, I have Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This is a YA new classic, and it's about Simon, who is a closeted gay boy who is exchanging emails with another closeted gay boy, and one day somebody finds out about these emails, and so he starts blackmailing Simon so that he can set him up with Simon's best friend, otherwise he'll tell the whole world about these emails. This was part of my rereading project, and I didn't remember it feeling so hard-hitting up until now that I reread it. Five Dark Fates by Kendar Blake, which was such a solid conclusion to the series. Rebecca Witherspoon's Sanctuary, which is the follow-up to Haven. This is another really steamy romantic suspense story. This one features fake dating as well, and I would say this is my favorite one out of the three. And Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. This is a YA contemporary romance, and it's all about finding your path and the obstacles that life throws your way, but that sometimes you put in there yourself. In the third quarter of 2024, I read a total of 18 books, and I took on several projects. I read Love Rosie for Tome Topple. I joined Summerween, and I also did the audiobook challenge that Libro FM hosted. These books are featured in a blog post called Summer Reading Had Me a Blast. During this quarter, Latinx Heritage Month kicked off, and I read 2 books for Latinx Book Bingo, and 2 other books are category less. We are starting at number 5 with Minor Detail by Adania Shibli. This is a historical fiction about a Palestinian journalist who becomes fascinated with an event that happened during the Nakba, or I think 1 year after the Nakba. And so it's about the Israeli occupation and how hard it is to get to the truth as a Palestinian. Number 4, Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This is such a solid YA rom-com. I love that it's about 2 estranged best friends featuring the outdoors. They both decide to challenge themselves, and so it's about what happens when you go outside of your comfort zone, not just emotionally, but also physically. I really love the voice in this book. Both perspectives were so fun to read, and I highly recommend that you check out the audiobook. Number 3, You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kayleen Bayron. This is a queer YA slasher horror set at a summer camp where the characters recreate a series of scenes from a cult classic slasher film. This is so short and so creepy. Definitely check this one out if you have not already. Number 2, We Came to Welcome You by Vincent Tirado. This is adult suburban horror, and it's about a homeowners association. I read this one with my friend Colleen during Latinx Heritage Month, and it was so funny, so creepy, and also so gross. I loved it. And at number 1, I have That Can Be Arranged by Huda Fahmy. This is a graphic memoir about Islam, love, self-love, as much as it is about romantic love and familial expectations. As for honorable mentions, I have once again 4, starting with The Art Thief by Michael Finkel. This is a non-fiction book about the most prolific art thief. Barely Floating by Lilian Rivera. This is a contemporary middle grade story about synchronized swimming. Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. This is the first book in the Six of Crows duology, and it is YA high fantasy set in Ketterdam in the Grishaverse, and it's about outcasts in this world pulling off a heist. If you have not read this book, believe the hype. It really is that good. Last but certainly not least, I have 4 Eats and a Funeral by Farida Abike Yimide and Adiba Jagardar. This is a YA contemporary romance between 2 estranged best friends who are teaming up so that they can save the town's Islamic center. Finally, in the fourth quarter of 2024, I read a total of 31 books. During this period of time, I completed Latinx Book Bingo with extreme success, in my opinion. I rounded up all the books that I read during the fall into one singular blog post called The Fall of My TBR. Then I read a bunch of Christmas books and a couple of other category-less books. And this is the quarter where I started to feel more healed. I pushed myself with Latinx Book Bingo, and it was so rewarding. I read so many incredible books, and succeeding, quote unquote, at Latinx Book Bingo gave me the push to just read more, read a little bit more outside of my comfort zone. It was such a rewarding reading quarter. And I also wrote a little bit about the importance of trying and like pushing yourself, but not to your breaking point. Again, link in the description below for that. My top 5 for this quarter include at number 5, Our Way Back to Always by Nina Moreno. This is a YA contemporary romance. It's told in dual POV, and it's about 2 ex-best friends who are now coming back together so that they can complete their senior bucket list. Forest of Noise by Mosaba Butoha. This is Palestinian poetry. Highly recommend that you check out the audiobook. It sounds so musical. It is fantastic. Number 3, Tender is the Flesh or Cadáver Exquisito by Agustina Basterrica. This is dystopian / horror, and it's about the cannibalism industry. And so you should definitely not read this book if you want to turn your brain off. Please, under no circumstances, read this book if you want to turn your brain off. Number 2, To the Hilt by Bryn Renee. This is a horror erotica short story. I believe it's like under 50 pages long, and it's about the sole survivor of a massacre way back when. Now, 10 years later, the killer is back to haunt her. And at number 1, the best book easily that I read in 2024, The Marrow Thieves by Cherie Dimaline. This is the most incredible dystopian that you will ever read. It's set in the near distant future in Canada, where the entire population has stopped dreaming with the exception of Indigenous people, and so white people are hunting down Indigenous people so that they can kill them and get the marrow of their bones, because that's where they think the dreams live. It is so incredible. The follow-up to it, Hunting by Stars, is phenomenal as well. Highly recommend that you check this out if you haven't already. As for honorable mentions, I have a little bit more than I did in past quarters because I just couldn't help myself. Starting with 10 Days with a Duke by Erica Ridley. This is a steamy second chance historical romance. I couldn't get enough of it. I really need to read the rest of the series, or at least more books by Erica Ridley. Wishing on a Star by Deborah Gregory. This is the first book in the Cheetah Girls series, and it's all about dreams, the girls meeting each other, and just kind of talking about what it is that they want out of forming a girl group. It is so fun. Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. This is such a lovely, sweet YA romance set during Christmas time. Racial Innocence by Tania Cateria Hernandez, and I'm just gonna read the tagline here. Unmasking Latino anti-Black bias and the struggle for equality. This is required reading for all non-Black Latinos out there. Please check this out. You just have to. Surrender by Real C. Adams. This is a short erotic story, and it's about 2 friends who promised each other that if they weren't with anyone at a certain point in their lives, they would give each other a chance. This is so short and so sexy. I loved it so much. Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. This is an incredible contemporary fantasy YA about necromancy and female friendships. Basically, our main character, Camila, loses her best friend in an accident, and the police have ruled it as a suicide, but she just doesn't believe it. And so she decides to bring her back from the dead to figure out what actually happened. But the thing is that instead of just bringing back her best friend, she also brought back 2 of the main school's mean girls. And so shenanigans ensue. This was my first Lily Anderson book, and I loved it so much. It was so entertaining. I love how funny it is. The humor is really well balanced with the horror aspects of the book. And last but certainly not least, I want to talk about Love of the Record by Samantha Markham. This is a YA rom-com, rivals to lovers, and it's about 2 university students who are up for the same position at the school's newspaper. I really love the banter, and the main character felt super relatable to me. That means that in total, for my healing era, I read 90 books, which in pages meant 25,911. 27 were audiobooks, 25 were digital books, 37 I read in a mix, and 1 lonely book was only read in its physical form. In terms of ownership, 40 books were mine, 18 were e-arcs, and 32 were not mine. Overall, my most read genre was contemporary with 23 books, and my least read genres were magical realism, thriller, literary fiction, all with 1 book each. As for my accomplishments, I finished not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 6 whole book series. I read the final book in the original Grishaverse trilogy, aka Ruin and Rising. I also read the Six of Crows duology, the final 3 books in the Three Dark Crown series, the 2 available books in the Marrow Thieves universe, the final book in the Lick Club series called Only for You by Naima Simone, and all 3 books in the Beards and Bondage series by Rebecca Weatherspoon. As for my rereading project, I completed 13 books for this challenge, and my top 5 were Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli, Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. This one I read during Summerween, and it's about Claudia, whose best friend Monday goes missing, and somehow she's the only one who notices. And so it's a commentary on Black girls and whose stories get told, whose are worthy of finding out, and whose are left behind. My other 3 favorite books that I read for Project Reread were A Princess in Theory by Alisa Cole, Girls on the Verge by Sharon Biggs Waller, and Undergirl Gang by Lily Anderson. In terms of content, I posted my 2023 Wrapped series way too late and way too sporadically to even be considered a proper 2023 wrap-up, but I am really proud of those videos. I put a lot of effort into them. I did one random book tag, and it is a kind of book tag. It's the History of My Bookshelf book tag that I just love to do anytime I want to reset my channel. I don't know why, I just find it so fun. And I also did my 12 Days of Bookmas. I am very much not proud of this series. I should have just done what I did for 2023, but I hope I have fixed it with this video now. On Patreon, I did 2 different kinds of newsletter. The first one was called Journey to the Grishaverse. I did 10 episodes of this, and it was just me reading and talking about what I was reading with the intention of justifying my purchase for the rest of the Grishaverse books. At the time, I only owned the original trilogy, but I think I bought a lot of books in 2023 that I just couldn't justify getting more books, and so I wanted to complete a certain amount of books before I got to purchase the rest of the Grishaverse books. And the other newsletter was called The Enchanted Reader's Alcove. I started that in May, and I did 22 episodes for that. And I posted my 2024 Wrapped series, which was basically a wrap-up for my reading projects one by one. As for my goals, I only had 2. Number 1 was I wanted to read a lot of books so that I could justify my purchase of the Grishaverse books. And the other one was just to put on 0 pressure on myself. I wanted none at all whatsoever. I was quoting Jeanette McCurdy when I wrote that little bit in my newsletter, and I think that retreating to my Patreon, as much as I didn't advertise for it, really helped me sort of hone in my creative skills once again. I don't know, I think it allowed a lot of healing, knowing that not a lot of people were gonna see the content for some reason. I don't know, I find that really interesting. So yeah, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already and you'd like to, go ahead and hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.